Okay, so we have titanium white and titanium buff and a number 1 flat.
Smallest we've got is a number 2, but it's a deer foot, so it'll be good.
But okay, yeah, whatever you have, because it's this is with the American painter
Right.
make. So
I'll have to get
you
a
have to gauge yours and see which one. So I'm going to start from top.
So Lael, you said titanium white and the buff, right?
Yes, a touch of titanium buff in your titanium white. So your titanium white is not too strong.
Okay.
Leon, I have a space on our top. What can I do?
You have a what? Sorry?
You can see in my canvas that I have a...
I can't, sorry, hold on. I can't see. Yeah, what's
here.
yeah.
So it's not top of the canvas, it's a little bit lower.
That's okay. Just push your paint up. Doesn't matter.
Up. Okay.
Yeah. Ignore it. Ignore that line and just go up all the way to the edge of the canvas. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, at least goes in the sky is a sky.
Yeah. Just push it up all the way up. Yeah, this is the sky. Okay. So now I'm kind of okay with that. I like, it's up here. And when you do this, you could see the edge of the buildings a bit. It defines a bit the buildings. Now I'm going to change my brush to a wider one. And I'm going to come here. Wide enough for you to still be able to control your brush stroke. I'm wiping it, cleaning it. Now come here. Back to the smaller brush. I can adjust the shadow later on if I want. But for now, it's good enough.
Find them?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my, already it looks awesome.
Yeah.
Love this light. So I added Payne's Gray and Ultramarine Violet. So I'm going to take Titanium Buff and a touch of Payne's Gray in my Titanium Buff. So I'm making it lighter. And maybe a touch of purple as well. That doesn't hurt. Very, very, very light.
You must be putting a lot of buff in there.
Yeah, it's mostly buff.
Okay.
And I'm going to add, while I'm working, I'm spreading the color.
Mine's looking great.
Because your Payne's Gray is not golden, right? Are you using, what's your Payne's Gray? What make is your Payne's Gray?
It is Liquitex.
Liquitex, yes. So Liquitex has less blue in it.
Okay.
Yeah, mine is gray too.
Yes,
Mine
that's
is
okay.
Winsor Newton.
It's okay. It's okay. So you could use just a bit of purple in it,
Okay.
or a bit of blue. It doesn't matter, and that's okay. You know, you don't have, doesn't have to be that blue. But once we get to this area here, we might have to make it a bit more bluish.
Okay.
If your Payne's Gray is too gray, but Payne's Gray usually, even with Liquitex, is it's not really a black and white.
I gotta bring it up to top, isn't it?
Yes, push it up to the top.
Okay.
So usually purple is a color where when you want to push objects far away from you, you use that color. You use purple and white, or purple and gray, to show that this object is far away. It's just a silhouette. That's what we're doing right now. And I'm going to do the same up here. So again, you don't want this brush stroke to be too flat. You want some texture in there. Okay, and just let it go. I'm getting something here. I don't know what it is, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm getting some kind of a leftover from the paint or the brush. Okay.
So sorry, the top you're using Payne's gray and,
Titanium buff
yep,
right there. So I want I want that darker blue than what I see in the back,
mhm.
darker than this. Because this, oh, geez, it's not dark enough. But that's okay. I can
So you want it darker.
just a bit darker, yes, than the one in behind it. But I have to. I'm just gonna wait for it to dry, and if it's not dark enough, I'll darken it a bit more. Now, once I get to this part here where it's behind the behind the balcony, I'm gonna switch, clean my brush, switch to titanium buff, and a touch of ultramarine violet in it.
I'm gonna have to go over the balcony rails, I don't know.
I went over it. I went over it.
Yes,
Now, the more layers first layer you put in there, it's over a dark background, so it's gonna dry dark. But the more layers you put on top of that, the lighter it's gonna look. Because you're not putting those layers over dark anymore, you're putting the layers over a color. All right, so now I see that the top part looks a bit too dark. So I'm gonna highlight that. And I'll show you what I mean. A bit of white, titanium buff, and Payne's gray. Oh, it's too light. It will dry darker.
I can't see what you're doing there, Lael. It's kind of off the page.
Thank you.
Oh,
I
thank
didn't
you.
realize. I didn't even realize. Okay, so what I did is I this color and this color were too close, like there was no line at all. There's no separation here, no line. So what I did is I'm making the top part a bit lighter than this. So I added, I took Naples yellow, oh my God, Payne's gray and titanium buff with a bit of titanium white, mixed it and highlighted this area here. I created that slant by highlighting this area, and I'm just highlighting it a little bit more. You know, with acrylics, it dries darker, so you always have to go back and adjust the color. I shouldn't paint and talk at the same time. Okay, here we go. So that's just kind of, and if this here, the further away the building, the lighter it is. That creates depth with your depth and perspective when you do that. So when you're showing a far away building or object, it should be really kind of close to the color of the sky. So the line between the sky and that object shouldn't be too harsh. It just gives you a silhouette of what's happening there. Now I have to go back down because this is kind of already almost kind of dry, and I would like to see a bit of more titanium buff at the bottom part, and ultramarine violet. So why is this? It's just because this is where the light is coming. You will have a lot more light in here on the building itself. So I'm just gonna highlight it a bit and push my highlights up slowly, right? When I get to this part.
Are you highlighting it with white?
With titanium buff and ultramarine violet. What I'm going to do, wipe my brush and try to have a very smooth, not smooth, soft transition between this color and the color up here. Now, if you look at the actual reference, you will see that this part right here shows kind of a stone right there. So you could, if you like, take a bit of Payne's gray if you want. You don't have to. Payne's gray, and just kind of with a oh, not enough. It's like not very accurate, you know, just a suggestion. I mean, I'm just showing you how you could do it if you want to do something like that. As long as it's not detailed. Same thing for the windows. Now the windows are in a kind of an interesting green color. Those windows. So again, if you want to put those windows, I would put them with either the same color, Payne's gray, with a round small brush, and just again puts a suggestion of a window. It's more like I'm really being careful, more like a dry brush. Again, it's far away, shouldn't be too detailed. Okay, I'm going to do this and then I'm going to stop.
So what color were you using for the window?
Just Payne's gray.
Just Payne's gray.
Yeah.
And it's a what brush? Let's see the brush that you're using. Ooh, two windows. Oh,
Um,
okay.
Remember, the more detail you put, the more work it's going to be, require more work. So you don't want to, a bit of detail, that's good, just to give a suggestion of what's happening in the back here, but not much. Again, I'm using right here, right now, I'm going to use Payne's gray, push the Payne's gray down. With a small brush, it's easier to control what's happening in here. Control your brush stroke. I'm just putting this because I don't want behind this man here to have just a blank, just a bit of detail. It's good. I'm adding now a bit of titanium buff to soften. Titanium buff, and I'm just going to put this titanium buff right here. That will create depth. I mean, the side of the door, the depth, the wall right here. So the wall, the door doesn't look flat, too flat. Just kind of a small detail. It's not really not very important. So I'm using a bit of white, titanium buff, and I'm going to use ultramarine violet and come here. So this line should be somewhere right there.
So are you used titanium buff and
And no, sorry, I used white, a bit of titanium buff and a bit of the ultramarine violet. I'm not going to push it all the way down, just like that. Now, I'm going to darken this a bit with titanium buff and ultramarine violet. And come here with a dry brush, or actually wet kind of color, so it dries darker. Okay, so this part right here is slightly darker than this part here. This is a great exercise in value.
Oh,
Value. Oh my God, yes, every single.
So under the drain, like to the left of the drain pipe, I'm sort of behind here. What color did you use there for that block?
This wall here?
Yeah.
That's Payne's gray
Great.
and a bit of white and titanium buff.
Oh,
But there, oh no, I'm sorry, not Payne's gray. Sorry, it's ultramarine violet with white and titanium buff.
okay.
Ultramarine violet. We can wait until we finish the rest of the buildings, and then we can, try to add more detail, less detail. But for now, I'm just going to try to. I'm softening a bit. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes. I'm softening a bit these here. I want that definition, but I don't want it too strong. Yeah, that's better. That's good.